Hello and welcome to this video on how to contribute to Mautic Documentation brought to you by the Team Education Lead in Mautic. So let's get right into it. Mautic is an open source marketing automation platform and we welcome contributions from everyone to improve and maintain our documentation. Now, one of the most first requirements for contributing to Mautic is owning a GitHub account. And there's a reason why we use GitHub. One, there is always like you can always take ownership for whatever line or whatever documentation that you created. We have a contributors list. This is one of the like important ways we can keep track of people who contribute to Motif. Also, you can contribute on your own repository, on your own branch. You can make a fork of the repository, contribute on your own branch without deleting someone else's work. This is another reason why we use GitHub for contributions, and it's very easier to manage and just track changes. That is another reason why we use GitHub. So, with that said, let's look on how we can. So this is Mautic, and this is Mautic organizational page, and this is what it looks like. Now, the different repositories in Mautic are all listed here. The different repositories in Mautic are all listed here, and you can search for them by typing the keyword or a search here and it lists the repositories that we want. Now, our main focus is on the documentation repositories. We have three main resources that Mautic use to relate information to their users. So we have the Mautic user guide. So this is the user guide repository on GitHub, and this is what it looks like. Yeah, this is what it looks like. And we have the knowledge base. This is the repository on GitHub, and this is what it looks like. And we also have the developer documentation. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. All right. So you can always search for these repositories by typing here. So how do we search for Mautic in GitHub? To search for Mautic in GitHub is very easy. All you need to do is type Mautic. After creating your GitHub account and you've logged into GitHub and you have like this interface. Sorry, I need to show what the interface is like. Let me just take you through the entire process. So we have like GitHub, and you click on the link that links it to the main interface, and then you search for Mautic on the search bar. Taking to there's a lot of results that will pop out, and clicking on the first one most likely will lead you to this. This is where it looks like Mautic slash Mautic. Now clicking on the word before the slash will lead you to the organizational page where you can then search for the repositories that you want to contribute to. Pretty easy, right? Okay, let's move forward. Now that we've known the different repositories, the mode of operation is the same for each of these repositories. So I'll just use one to explain. I'll not be alternating between the three of them because the mode of operation is the same. It's the same way to open an issue, it's the same way to create a pull request, but the only difference will be in the documentation structure. Okay, so let's continue. Now that we have the user guide, what's the first thing to know is the documentation structure. Now, to contribute to Mautic documentation, we want to know how it's structured. In the user guide, the information is usually located in the pages folder. So once you look through the pages folder, there are different folders that are numbered from 2 to 28. So these are the different folders. Now clicking on any folder, so as you might click on the home folder, I'll be taken to some subfolders that are also numbered. So we have these folders here. And then we have this docs.en.md. Clicking on that, we would see informations like this. Now, this is where you would write your information. This is where you edit your information. Now, let's go back. Clicking on the overview of Mautic, we have this docs.en.md and we have Mautic overview PNG. So this is the image that is added to this file. So this is this file again, and this is where we edit our files, the docs.en.md. I hope that's clear enough. Now let's look at the knowledge base. The knowledge base is the same thing. The documentation structure, all the information is in the pages. Now clicking on home, we have hero, highlight, call out, features. We have all of these folders. By clicking on any of the folder, so instead of docs.am.md, we have a different um, file title, which is hero.md. Also, let's look at highlights, features.md. So the knowledge base have different title names for their files, unlike the user guide. User guide title name that is used is only docs.en.md. Why for the knowledge base they have like you can use different title names for your type. So we have text.md, we have features.md, we have home.md, etc. Then we'll look into the developer documentation. The developer documentation is quite different from the user guide and the knowledge base. So when you click on the hierarchy is sorry, the documentation structure is different. So instead of pages, as we've seen in the previous two, we see docs here. And then clicking on this, now it's not written in MD, it's written in RST, restructured text. So there's a difference between markdown and restructured text. Not much difference, but quite different. So if you want to contribute to the developer documentation, you will need to have a knowledge of restructured text. So clicking on any of the file here, okay, sorry, that had like no information. Let's see. This should have okay. Structured test. Let's look for another example with like love words. Okay. Okay, so this is like a good example. I was trying to get one with a lot of information in it. But this is like a very good example. And one thing with Mautic documentation, it's labeled in a way that you can easily go around and find information. So you know each file name, it's labeled in a way that that file is so that you know exactly what that file is supposed to do. So that is like one of the good thing about Mautic documentation. So for the developer documentation, you want to contribute to the docs, you'd have to go to the docs folder. Now that we have gone through the different documentation structure, how do I contribute to the documentation? Now to contribute to the documentation, very easy, very peasy. What you need to do is either look for issues. Now, either you create a new issue or you look for an existing issue. So, if you want to create a new issue, there's this button here that will enable you to create a new issue. All you need to do is click on that button, and oh, I already have something written here. Create a new page. Type the header of the issue that you want to create, the title, create a new page, leave like a comment, maybe a single line explaining what the issue is all about. It doesn't have to be very lengthy. A single line will be enough. Then click submit an issue. Once you've done that, the maintainers of the repository will be able to see it and then work according to that issue that you've created. Also, if you see an issue here, also, there are like list of issues here, and all these issues are being labeled. So we have this Hacktoberfest, Mautic for Good First Issue, Good First Issue. So if you're a first time contributor to Mautic, it's always advised that you just look for like a good first issue that you want to work on. Once you find a good issue that you feel comfortable about working on, you click on the issue and then leave a name on the comments. Like you just leave a comment and that indicates that you want to work on this issue. Once you leave that comment, the maintenance will be notified that someone has left a comment on an issue and then assign the issue to you and also walk you on the process on how you can fix that issue. Also, there's some information that's always left to give you more insight on how to work on that issue. So if anyone is working on a particular issue, you don't really need to start working on it. You don't all you need to do. I'm trying to look for an issue that someone has indicated to work on, or I really can't find any right now. But if anyone is working on an issue and you see that it's been assigned to someone else, you don't need to work on the issue so as to avoid clash of changes. All you need to do is look for another issue and work on it. Right. Once you're gotten an issue that you want to work on, the next step is to go through the Mautic style guide. Now, the style guide is created so that you'll be able to know the tone and voice used in the Mautic documentation. This is what the Mautic style guide looks like. You can find it in the user guide. The Mautic style guide provides you with information and instructions on how you can write a good documentation in Mautic. It's not much, it's not anything very ambiguous. It's something very basic that you just need to implement when writing documentation so that you have the uniform, so that Mautic documentation will have a uniform tone and voice. So we have like informations on the capitalization style we use, white space list, code blocks, links, how we link, how we write our links in Mautic, images, videos, and also an external source to guide on available markdown styles. So this is the tie guide, and I'll also leave it in the comments below so someone can easily just link to it. Okay. So we've looked at the style guide, and we also looked at the documentation structure and how to create a issue or work on an issue or select an issue that you want to work on. The next step is how do we edit the documentation. So number one, there are different ways you can do that in GitHub, but one of the most easiest way would be to go to the pages. Remember, this is where the documentation lives. So you go to pages. Once you go to pages, you see like you pick like what you want to work on. So if you the documentation you want to work on, the issue you want to fix is about editing the home page. So I'm just going to use this as an example. So let's say we want to edit the overview of Motic. Remember, to edit you need to go to the docs.en.md. So that would edit the page for you. So you go to that, you click on the edit file, and then you probably write something. So let me just see how I can do that. This, let's say you write this, and once you write that, you've edited the page. You write what you've edited, like the commit message, so that someone can be able to see what changes you've made to the file. So it updated overview page overview. Then this is optional. You can write like more description if the what you've changed or the commit message does not give like an in-depth explanation of what you've changed. And once that is done, you cannot commit to the main branch because it's like the protected branch. So you will commit to like a new branch, then commit changes. Once you've your changes, what you do is so this is the change that you've made. So what you want to do is create a pull request. So I don't want to create a pull request. So once you create a pull request, it will be shown here. So like so what you want to do is create a pull request. So once you've created a pull request, compare it will be shown here. So these are different pull requests that has been created by people and also by um yeah, by people. So once you've created a pull request, then it's going to be looked at by the maintainers of the site, and then they'll look through the pull request and merge the pull request to the documentation. So this is how this works. All right. So another way people do this is by git cloning. But before you git clone, you need to create a fork of the repository. So once you create a fork of the repository, you can then um, copy this link and git clone, git push, git commit, git add. These are all git command lines that you would need to know if you want to use this method. So more explanation on how to do this will be linked below. It's explained in our documentation. So I didn't really want this to be longer than it already is. That's why I'm not going in depth to explain this. But I think I can still explain it, but I already have like so let me just explain this since I'm already here. So I already have like I'm in the directory of GitHub documentation. So I'm just going to go out of that directory. So this is the downloads directory, and if you don't have the Mautic documentation, what you want to do, or the knowledge base, or the developer documentation, it's the same process. You click on this link, copy it, then you git clone and press enter. So because I already have this, it's showing like this already exists. If it doesn't exist, it's going to copy it for you. So once you've copied it, the next thing you want to do is cd to the directory, then code to open a text editor. This now opens my text editor. This is what it looks like once you've opened the text editor. Then what you want to do is make your changes. So remember, to make your changes, you need to go to docs.en.md. So docs.en.md, with that you can be able to make whatever changes that you made. So assuming we make the same changes that we made video, now we are in the new branch. So you can always change your branch to, let's say, old branch, create new branch. It is very I love using this method to change branch because it's very easy. Sorry. So now that we've made some changes, we do git add or modified file or new file, then git commit -a. Write a commit means save updated contributing page with something. Okay, you can make it longer, you can make it shorter. Then once you've written your comment message, to leave here, what you do is press on escape shift ZZ. So this takes you away from Vim. That interface was called Vim. So this takes you away from that. And then what you want to do next is git push. Um Okay, so we cannot just push it directly. We have something here. Use git push set upstream origin old. So we're going to set the branch to old. Okay, we're setting our upstream branch. So this should work. All right, it has worked. And then your pull request will be created. Then we have to go back to the Mautic interface. So once we've gone back here, let's go back. Okay, so sorry. This is the one we've created just now. So this is old recent pushes less than a minute ago. So this is one would click on. Then you can write like a comment, then create a pull request. Once you've done all of that, it's going to reflect here. It's going to reflect here. So I'll just close all of this so that it stops popping up. So now once we've gone through the process on how you can edit the documentation through the user interface on GitHub or by cloning the repository to your local computer. Now for the knowledge base, a way to find issues would be to go to the Jira. So the issues for the knowledge base are being listed on the Jira. So if you look through the Jira, you see like KB article, KB article, KB article. So these are knowledge based articles. We are looking for contributors. So if you're interested in writing an article on any Mautic topic, that you feel could be a good fit for the knowledge base. We already have like articles here, suggestions, topics, and if you feel you can work on any of this, you can always reach out to us on Slack or on the forums, and then I can send you link to this where you can easily pick the article that you want to work on and start working on them. So for this, what you need to have is just your um, Google Docs. So we have the Google Docs. So assuming is this email deliverability we are looking at. Okay, so we have like a description of what should be in the article, and then we have resources. So this is a Google Docs where this is where you can edit this. So this is what it will look like. So by looking at the resources and also looking at the writer's brief on what articles should contain, you can be able to now write little on this image of the deliverability. So this is what the Mautic article or the KB article is all about. So we have like tutorials as well. So now, this will bring us to the end of the documentation. We've looked at different ways so just like we read to recap, we looked at how we can contribute to documentation. We also looked at the three main sources of information. The modus operandi is the same for all the three documentation repositories. So with this information, I hope it will be very easy for anyone who wants to contribute to documentation, get a good head start and start contributing. Looking forward to all your contributions. Thank you very much.